3, 2, 1.
So, all month, we talked about authenticating it being God, the divine, the power and presence within. It's what we are awakening ourselves to all year, like I said in the beginning of the broadcast this morning. And we started off this month talking about that there is no secret being kept from any of us about the universe or how the law works. You may not have been taught that teaching or that philosophy that we speak of here, but the universe isn't keeping information on how it all works for members only. There is no members only here. Everyone gets to use it. Everyone has that power and reveals that power and that divinity in themselves all the time. So the secret is there is no secret. There are only tools to be discovered that enhance what you naturally know, what you've naturally been imbued with, even if you don't know that you know. So I want to let everyone know to not get sucked into what they would call clickbait titles or descriptions claiming there's a big secret that someone is about to reveal, because there is no big secret. And don't begin your day or your week or your month or your year thinking that you're starting in a deficit, because you have the greatest advantage in the universe. You have the advantage of the power and presence and energy of the Big Bang, for God's sakes. I also reminded you to look around, to use your senses as proof of the existence and the workings of the universe of divine intention and grace and power and wisdom going on. We can learn most, if not all, we need to learn from Mother Nature. And last week, I asked you to decide, which do you prefer? Or which do you work your innermost education, transformation, and transcendence through? Is it nature or nurture? And actually, if you were listening, you saw there was no choosing, because it's both. And this week, I want to stamp this month of authentication. I want to stamp it, boom, confirmed. Not just confirming the power and presence of the universal creative energy that's working within you right now, whether you choose to do it intentionally or not just confirming the knowledge to succeed and prosper is already innate in each and every one of us and discoverable through our senses and our imagination and our intellect, and especially through our heart-centered workings and feelings. And not just confirming that we don't have to go to the top of the mountain or the bottom of the sea to discover God and our godness, because we don't. And finally, not just confirming that nurturing our true nature leads us to manifestations of health, wealth, peace, and love. Because this week, we confirm our authentic selves. We stamp our passport. This is what we do. We stamp our passport to self-definition and self-determination. We stamp our decree of life, of being an expression of the divine. And we attest, verify, and certify, as Michael Singer said in The Untethered Soul. He said, the prerequisite to true freedom is to decide that you do not want to suffer anymore. You must decide, he says, that you want to enjoy your life and that there is no reason for stress, inner pain, or fear. So have you decided that yet? We have to make that decision. We have to purposefully make that decision and stamp that decision confirmed. How often, and I have to ask myself this sometimes, how often do you show up authentically? Ernest Holmes wrote, "We are to see that spirit creates all things by the power of its word, and that we are spiritual beings. We are to hear that inner voice of truth. We are to hear that inner voice of truth, which is ever proclaiming the freedom of all life, the eternal unity of God with all." So no matter your profession, who you love, how you pray, where you live, how much formal education you have, how much money you have, what gender you are, how old you are, you weren't born to fit in. You were born you were born to stand out. You were born to show your individualization. You were born to reveal the divinity in you that is similar to all, in that power and presence is within us, but it expresses itself in that individualization called you. God doesn't make mistakes. The divine spirit does not make mistakes. People do, and that's okay. And in fact, mistakes are teaching tools if you let them be. So regardless of what anyone says, your unique gifts have a purpose. And it's each of us, it's our responsibility to be our authentic selves, to live that purpose and express that purpose. The main purpose is revealing the divinity in you, revealing that individualized, that personalized divinity in you that makes you you, that makes PJ her, that makes JJ. Now, expressing that authenticity might be annoying or unappetizing to some, but the more we express ourselves authentically, the more we will inspire others to do the same, even if those others find us annoying. This example shows them to be authentic themselves. Our unconditional love and acceptance for others who are expressing themselves authentically does not mean that we have to hang out with them or vote for them or like them at all. But appreciating one's authenticity and that of others brings a spiritual maturity into play in our lives and practice and an emotional maturity in our lives. In the Science of Mind book, it's written, as the inner light dawns, it delivers the outer life from bondage. This is in line with the teaching that everything is from within out. When the soul knows freedom, the law will free the body, and the outer life will express health, happiness, and success. All things work for our good. Even that which we call evil is salutary, leading us to the way, to the truth, to the life. Suffering should teach us a lesson which would cause us to refrain from making more mistakes that are equal to that word suffering. It carries a blessing with it when we learn how to garner knowledge from experience. Isn't that great? So true. When we are our authentic selves, when we are our divine self, we bring forth those lessons without stepping into suffering. Here's a question for you. If you were living a life of freedom, how would your life look? Now, don't get depressed about the answer and how it compares to the life you're living now, because then it seems like a wish unfulfilled, and it's not a wish unfulfilled. Take the answer that comes from that question and be encouraged, impassioned, inspired, motivated, and awakened by the answer as the first step to the fulfillment of that answer. See, that answer is your authentic self calling. So answer the call. Your soul's desire is ringing. Say with this with me right now. Are you ready? I made some slides for these. So Steve, will you bring those up? And if you can't see the slides because you're listening only and not watching the broadcast, just listen to them and allow these words to vibrate around your mind and, of course, in your heart. You ready? Here we go. I consciously and confidently live as my authentic self. Solid in self-respect and joy. Firm in my respect and kindness to others. Centered, grounded, and stable in my connection to nature and spirit. And bold and brave in my self-expression. Now listen to it one more time, and if you can say it with me, that's great. I consciously and confidently live as my authentic self, solid in self-respect and joy, firm in my respect and kindness to others, centered, grounded, and stable in my connection to nature and spirit, and bold and brave in my self-expression. Now you can take that and say it all week as well and add that to your affirmative incantation for the week. Or you could just say it for right this minute, right now. Know it right this minute, right now, so that it expresses itself and spreads out into your life. Don't be what the world wants you to be. Find and be your authentic self-definition. Find and reveal the divinity in you in your own personal, perfect way. It's never too late. It's never too late to express your passion for life, your authentic life. Look at these two people. Show you these two people on a slide. There you go. One is, you probably recognize both of them. One is Julia Child. Now, she worked in advertising, media, and secret intelligence, isn't that interesting, before stepping into her passionate self, writing her first cookbook when she was 50, which then, of course, launched her career as a celebrity chef. And next to her is Martha Stewart, who was a full-time model, and she turned 25. She became a mother. Modeling jobs started to get less and less, and she started working as a Wall Street stockbroker for about 5 years. And then she just was like, what is my true purpose in life? Well, she had a love of gourmet cooking and creative presentation, and she created that empire called Martha Stewart Living Omni Media. Amazing. And how about these two? Vera Wang. She's there at the left on top. Vera Wang was a figure skater and a journalist. And then at the age of 40, she stepped into her passion, into her authentic self, and became one of the world's premier women designers. And next to her there in the black and white photo, you may not know, is Grandma Moses, Anna Mary Robertson Moses, who didn't begin her prolific painting career until she was 78 years old. Before that, she was a housekeeper and a farm laborer, and then discovered her authentic self, her true passion. Now her paintings sell for $1 million or more. Grandma Moses, 78 she started. And finally, I want to show you these three people, actually. One is Takechiro Mori. He was an academic who, at the age of 51, decided, you know what? I really like this idea of real estate. And that he started doing that at 51 years old, buying real estate. He was a teacher before that. And that made him into, in the early 90s, he was the richest man in the world. He was worth $13 billion, and he didn't even start this expression of his true self until he was 51. And that couple there is Tim and Nina Zagat. Both of them were corporate lawyers, big-time corporate lawyers living in Paris with these prestigious law firms. And in their late 30s, they turned their personal passion of favorite restaurants into a list. They had this list that they kept. And that was a list of Parisian restaurants, and later on became New York restaurants. And finally, they decided, hey, why don't we share this? Why don't we turn our lives into this passion we have for restaurants? And they started publishing this collection of short and there was a star rating review of restaurants, and they became a world famous culinary authority of restaurants in the Zagat Guide. Amazing. So what are your hidden or maybe not so hidden passions waiting for your authenticity to emerge? What are they? You know. I know you know what they are. Even if you say you don't, you do. They're there. Maybe you've submerged them or something, but we all get caught up in that box of our degrees, of our jobs, what the family expected or expects from us, what we expected or expect from us, or that word retiree. You know, that comes with a whole shebang of stuff. And sometimes we take that word retiree and we don't get into our passions. We just don't go to a work. So now is the time to commit to showing up authentically, and choose the life that we want to live, that we've always dreamed of. Because doing so in your life will inspire others to follow. And by you being an example of this unconditional love and acceptance of a life of spirit expressing itself as you will inspire others to do that for themselves. And that will make a better world of unity, peace, love, and joy, because there will be more happiness and joy in this world. And then that authenticates the divine in us all, because we're working it. We're working that revelation of the divinity that is within us. So stamp your authentic life confirmed. And fly, my friends. Fly. Thank you so much.